Cole Palmer has made Premier League history. He has become the first player ever to score 4 goals in a Premier League half. And in this video, we're going to be breaking down how he did it and how Chelsea exploited a Brighton tactic to great effect. Is it getting cold in here or is it just me? Before we go on and talk about Cole Palmer and everything that he did in this game, I want to really talk about the setup and the makeup of this Brighton setup when they came to play against Chelsea. And namely, I want to talk about the major component that they used to try and stop Chelsea from playing out from the back, and that was this extremely high line. In pushing up their defence, they tried to squeeze the pitch as much as possible, stopping the playmakers like Enzo Fernandez, stopping Moises Caicedo from feeding the likes of Cole Palmer, and to a certain extent, it did work on some occasions, but it tended to really fall apart when a couple of things happened. Gusto moved into midfield, and that gave Chelsea extra bodies in midfield and extra players that Brighton needed to cover. Vifa ended up being dragged out on a lot of occasions, Hinshelwood doing the same. And what Chelsea did so well is get the ball out to Colwill, who was able to find either Fernandez or Sancho. There was always an out ball, and it was always really, really quick, not taking too much space and not taking too much time. And then, as a byproduct of that, what have you got? You got the space in behind for Chelsea to really go and hit. And that's what Chelsea did so well. Palmer making that run behind Dunk, Jackson making that run behind Webster, and all of a sudden that high line that Brighton were almost relying upon started to crumble and it started to fall apart. And Chelsea got a number of great opportunities. And this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Here in this image, I really want to dive into it because it was the blueprint for the way that Chelsea were managing to beat this Brighton high line and also the Brighton press. So let's really dive into what we've got here. We've got the two Brighton midfielders in Beleba and Vifa. Hinshelwood has pinned himself onto Caicedo as an out ball or to stop Chelsea being able to play through. But to stop this, Chelsea played Malagusto infield, inverting from that right back role. Fofana going out to that right hand side and spreading the play, really pulling Brighton apart. Then what have you got? You've got a good pass from Colwill into Enzo Fernandez, who is in quite a lot of space. Now the moment this pass is played and the moment Enzo Fernandez is able to turn, Brighton have alarm bells ringing because Vifa isn't in a space to be able to cover this. He's not in a space to be able to press the ball if it were to go back as well. And all of a sudden, Brighton are in danger. If we turn over, we can see that Enzo Fernandez now has the ability to play a pass. And look at what you've got up here. You've got Cole Palmer running off of the back of the Brighton centre-back next to Estupiñán. You've got Nicholas Jackson ready to run in beyond. And look at how high this Brighton line is. Look at that. Look at how high it is. It's so close to the halfway line. It's so dangerous because if you time it properly and if the Brighton defence isn't organised well enough, you're going to get in. And that's exactly what happened here. Kadioglu was not ready for that high line. He's a little bit deeper than everyone else. And when the ball gets played through from Enzo Fernandez, what have you got? You've got Cole Palmer running in. You've got Nicholas Jackson running in. Diagonal runs to keep themselves onside, not being flat. You've got to make it diagonal to make sure that you're able to take that space and make sure that you're able to keep themselves onside. It's really well done. Cole Palmer gets the ball played through into him, and then it's about the touch. Then it's about can he take the ball in his stride and take advantage of that space that's been left in behind by Brighton. He can do, and then he drives towards goal. As he drives towards goal, everyone, I'm sure, is just assuming and expecting the net to bulge, but he ends up hitting the post. It's such a good shot. Honestly, it's whiskers away from falling into the back of the net, but unfortunately, it doesn't make it and it hits the post. And this was a warning sign early on in the game that Brighton needed to change something. But alas for them, they didn't, and Chelsea ended up capitalising. Here is another great example and great moment. Jadon Sancho has just received the ball from Colwill again, a great pass, and he's played it through into Enzo Fernandez, who is in acres of space. You cannot allow Enzo Fernandez this amount of time and space. And look at this. On the top on your screen, you can see Cole Palmer on his bike. He's making a run. He's seen the fact that Enzo Fernandez is on the ball and he believes that he's going to be able to play that pass. He spins in around behind Lewis Dunk, and Estupiñán needs to follow this. Nicholas Jackson is about to make a movement as well, but again, what I want you to notice here is look at how high this line is. Look at how high that line is. It's so close to the halfway line. It's so dangerous. And if you don't get it right, you get punished. It just so happens that Cole Palmer ended up being just a little bit offside, and although he then manages to go and finish this chance with Nicholas Jackson, I think Brighton were playing with fire here. Cole Palmer ends up finishing this, but of course it just ends up being offside. But once more, warning signs. We've spoken about Brighton defensively, so now let's talk about Chelsea defensively. And this is what I found they did so well to be able to get that first goal. So, we know the way the Brighton want to play up. They end up pushing their fullbacks really high, and this is to pin back the Chelsea wingers. But what they also want to do is play through the centre of the pitch, utilising Baleba and Vifa as real pivots to be able to pass through and then go out wide. What Chelsea did so well was utilise Enzo Fernandez. Instead of having him flat next to Moises Caicedo, he decided to push up against Baleba. And Cole Palmer, instead of going next to Nicholas Jackson with a press on a lot of times, he dropped on occasion and held Vifa. Now what this did is it forced Webster and Dunk to have a lot of the ball. But when Sancho and Madueke ended up stopping the passes through to Estupiñán and to Kadrioglu, what you ended up getting is a lot of missed passes. A lot of problems. They couldn't play through the centre. They struggled to really play through into their wide men. And then you're looking for them to go long. But Brighton don't want to go long. They don't want to use Danny Welbeck like that. They want to play through Chelsea. And instead, Fernandez jumped up onto Baleba and they stopped those passing lanes. And this is where the first goal comes from, because Webster is on the ball for the first goal, but he plays it back towards Verbruggen because he doesn't have a pass on at the moment. It's not available. And this was down to the way that Chelsea managed to press Brighton on good occasions to be able to get the ball turned over, and they get their reward. You can see this pretty perfectly right here. So, what have you got? You've got Jadon Sancho cutting off Kadrioglu right here. You've got Dunk, who's in free space, and you've got Estupiñán, who's being marked by Noni Madueke. Cole Palmer has left his role from Matt Vifa because he's too far away. And you've also got, just out of picture right here, you've got Enzo Fernandez on to Baleba. So that pass isn't on either. This gives Webster a big problem. He doesn't know what to do, so instead he passes it back to the goalkeeper. Nicholas Jackson is the pressing unit in this particular focal point, and then he is able to run onto it. Now, it's a poor pass from Webster, and it's obviously a massive mistake, but I think Chelsea need to be given some credit here. Not only have they tactically set themselves up to be able to stop a Brighton side playing through them on occasion, they've also got the running power to be able to follow on any kind of mistake. And like I said earlier, they get the reward for it. Nicholas Jackson pounces on a poor pass from Webster, and then you're looking for support. Cole Palmer breaks his neck to be able to go and support Nicholas Jackson, who is able to lift his head up. I was so impressed with Jackson here, lifting his head up, finding the free pass in Cole Palmer, playing it through because he's being closed down by the goalkeeper. He goes for the almost guaranteed goal, and Cole Palmer finishes. And that's one for Cole Palmer, but it is brilliantly done by Chelsea through very good defensive work. Cole Palmer's second was a brilliantly taken penalty, but it's the build-up to that goal and the making of that I think needs to be given a little bit of credit. Jadon Sancho does brilliantly to be able to get through Kadrioglu here, and he makes that space for himself. And look at the space that he's got to drive into. Once again, utilising and isolating that Brighton high line. You've got Enzo Fernandez making a run as well, as is Nicholas Jackson. But Jadon Sancho is able to make some space, but he's closed down pretty quickly. But then what he's able to do is pick up his head up. He's so good with the ball at his feet and utilising that football intelligence, playing that 1-2 with Enzo Fernandez, who was able to play him into the penalty spot, towards the penalty area, and it's just brilliantly worked, brilliantly weighted, brilliantly run, and then he's able to go through. It's so well done. Quick feet, quick tempo, and he gets fouled. It's really well done. And then you're talking about Cole Palmer finishing that penalty. It's brilliantly taken. But I just wanted to give Jadon Sancho a little bit of credit because he's gotten some stick over the last 18 months, and I think he's really settled very, very well early on, but very well into this Chelsea setup, and he provides Cole Palmer with an opportunity for his second of 4. There are many words that could be used to describe this third goal for Cole Palmer, but I'm going to go with outrageous. If you think about the distance between the ball and the goal, the fact that the wall is actually outside of the penalty area, and the fact that he has to go up and over the wall to hit it towards the top right-hand corner, Verbruggen's left-hand side, it's absolutely fantastic. It's so precise, so pinpoint. I just think it is outrageous. It's fantastic, really well done, and it always looks better when the goalkeeper dives, doesn't it? Always looks so much better. Cole Palmer, I tweeted this at the time, Cole Palmer, take a bow, because that was sublime. Finally, before we wrap up, let's look at the last and final goal, Cole Palmer's fourth. Yes, his fourth in about 20 minutes as well. Just crazy. But let's take a look at it. Right, so we've got Jadon Sancho on the ball currently, and once more, and for the last time, I want to mention that Brighton high line, once again, outside of the penalty area. And this is so interesting, the way that they wanted to be that aggressive, but Chelsea exploited it pretty brilliantly. Now, Cole Palmer, if you look here, is just asking for the ball. Let's take a look at this. He's just asking for the ball, but look at how many players he's got around him. There's no way he's going to be able to get there, and I don't think he would have had a chance to be able to do anything with the ball if Jadon Sancho had played it through into him. Instead, he recognises this. He almost guides players into him. He almost encourages them to enter this space, to enter this spot, because he's so highly marked. He then realises that, utilises that information, and then makes a darting run behind the centre-backs. And it's this movement. Look at this right here. This is fantastic. This right here is absolutely brilliant. He points to where he wants the ball to go. That space is opened up because of Kadlioglu pressurising Enzo Fernandez. And then you've got a pass from Jadon Sancho for Cole Palmer's run behind Lewis Dunk. And it's brilliantly worked to isolate this space. Once again, taking this opportunity, taking this moment and this space in behind the Brighton centre-backs because of that high line. Really well done by Cole Palmer. And then it's not over, because you've got so much more to do. You've got Cole Palmer being able to beat Lewis Dunk in that race, or Webster in that race, and then it's about the next moment, because from this angle you'd expect him to go towards the far post, but he ends up shooting near post. And there's a couple of reasons why I actually don't think Verbruggen is at fault here. The first one is how quickly Cole Palmer takes his shot. He takes it early, he doesn't take a touch, and in that it means that it almost offsets the goalkeeper because of how quickly he's taken that moment. The second thing is the power that he puts on the shot. Because he hits it so early and because he hits it so quickly, it means that Verbruggen doesn't have a lot of time to not only react, but also to dive the one way. You could argue that you shouldn't be beaten at your near post, but I would give the credit to Cole Palmer for a fantastic effort. And he just whips it round into that bottom left-hand corner. It's so well done, and he takes it on the run. It's brilliantly worked, brilliantly weighted from Sancho, and a fantastic goal from Cole Palmer. And as I said, that makes it 4 goals in around about 20 minutes, but 4 goals in a singular half of football, and that is a face of a man who was enjoying his football. But Chelsea fans, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If we've got any non-Chelsea fans, let me know whether you'd take Cole Palmer in your team and who you would have him replace if that was the case. But as I said, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something new, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care.